Donald Trump is winning the impeachment fight, and we all know it. Now, unfortunately, due to an individual's confirmation bias, I'm sure that people who don't like the president will not watch a video like this to see the actual evidence I'm going to present to prove that is the case. It's not so clear-cut as to say Trump's approval rating is up amid impeachment, which it is, or that opposition to impeachment has jumped 10 points among independents. That's all true. But we can see from BuzzFeed, they're claiming that Republicans are in an alternate reality, and so does CNN. But the fact of the matter is, the data shows, in all circumstances, it seems, for one, Trump is winning. Independents are now opposed to impeachment. Majority of people, according to a Politico Morning Consult poll, think the Democrats are mishandling this. But more importantly, as of this morning, they're having Dr. Fiona Hill testify, and she is providing factually incorrect information, which is easily debunked. And I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove this to all of you. The Democrats so far have offered up conjecture, no real hard evidence. Now, I'm not here to say Trump is innocent. That's not proven either. But you have to prove someone did something wrong. I don't have to prove they didn't. You need evidence that Trump committed a wrongdoing, and so far, Democrats have done nothing to tie any of this investigation or quid pro quo into the idea that Trump needs to defeat Joe Biden and was seeking aid to do so. They've not asked a single question. Has Donald Trump ever said he was scared of losing to Joe Biden? Has Donald Trump ever expressed that he needed dirt on Joe Biden? Nothing like that, because it's not about Biden, and they're not winning. They are losing. Let me show you. First, I want to start with how the media is falsely framing this, and that may misinform you. And then I want to talk about how the other partisan media that are so desperate for a win, they will outright lie to you and ignore the facts. Check out the front page of the New York Times this morning. We followed the president's orders. That's what they're saying. Gordon Sondland said that. But the context of what was said in the hearing is extremely important and omitted based on that attention-grabbing headline. Now, a lot of people are going to see that headline and say, wow, the president's orders, you say. Well, below the fold, President Trump never told me directly. The aid was my own personal, guess. That's the best thing they've gotten so far. Now, you may be saying, but Tim, I've heard all the testimony. Listen, I understand you may personally believe Trump did wrong, but there's a big difference between providing proof beyond a reasonable doubt and having someone's opinion. Now, I get it. It's a political battle. But this is what the New York Times is doing. This is a problem of false framing and out-of-context snippets to grab your attention. It's not as bad as the fake news, but BuzzFeed and CNN are pushing overt fake news. So let's get started. And I want to start with Donald Trump's approval rating going up. Let me just stress, I'm not saying Trump is innocent or guilty. I'm telling you that if you are someone who opposes the president, you are losing this fight, and you need to pay attention to what I'm going to show you if you want to turn things around. And if you're someone who supports the president, congratulations. All signs point to average people, independents, and uninitiated individuals are more likely to believe you. And Republican talking points are working. Before we read about Trump's approval rating, however, head over to timcast.com/donate if you would like to support my work. There's multiple ways you can give. The best thing you can do, though, is share this video. Again, I understand that based on confirmation bias, many of these leftists and anti-Trump people won't even bother watching this. They'll look at the title and say, that's not true, he's lying. Well, I'm telling you this, that BuzzFeed is saying Republicans are winning theirs. CNN and BuzzFeed are claiming, that there's an alternate reality Republicans are in. But if the majority of independents, now the majority, if opposition to this by independents is jumping 10 points, then you are the one in the minority who's not in the collective mentality of what's really going on. BuzzFeed admits Republicans are winning their fight with top trending stories on Facebook. I'm not making this up. Even the media thinks Trump is winning the fight, and they're saying, well, it's because Republicans don't like facts. I don't care what you think the reason is. It's true. Trump is winning this, and we all know it. Check this out. The Hill reports, President Trump's approval rating ticked back up amid the public impeachment battle. A poll released Wednesday found. A Gallup poll found 43% of respondents supported Trump's performance, 2 points more than the end of October poll. The disapproval rating of the president dropped to 54% from 57% in the previous poll. The approval rating matches the number Gallup recorded in mid-September before the news broke of the whistleblower complaint that ended up sparking the House's impeachment inquiry into the president. The numbers show the stability of the president's approval as the impeachment inquiry unfolded. That's right. When the story broke that there was a whistleblower complaint against Trump that he may have done wrong, his approval rating took a hit. And upon them bringing up, as soon as they bring out these witnesses and show you what's really going on, people immediately go, oh. And then all of a sudden, Trump's approval rating recovers. Now, we're not done. There's going to be more witnesses. Fiona Hill, for instance, is providing more bombshell testimony, which I will now debunk for you. But as we can see, we are in the midst of the impeachment inquiry. Trump's approval rating is up. Now, for those of you that hate the president, or just really dislike him, or think he should be impeached, you're probably saying what Brian Stelter of CNN is saying, that Republicans just refuse to believe the facts. That's just not true, okay? You can listen to the biased press. Fox News will tell you one thing, MSNBC and CNN will tell you another. And the fact of the matter is, the Republicans are telling us that Donald Trump was fighting corruption. Well, we don't have a lot of proof of that, but that is at least the narrative being proposed by proponents of the president. The fact of the matter is, whether Trump was or wasn't tweeting out corruption is not the point. The point is, Democrats have not provided any proof that Trump was digging up dirt on Joe Biden. That is not even a part of any of these hearings, and as such, the American people the impeachment process is losing the support of general Americans. So if you find yourself as one of these anti-Trump impeachment individuals, you're on the losing side so far. You are not doing anything to convince anyone that Trump has done wrong. In fact, just the opposite. They say, the poll was conducted from November 1st to the 14th, before most of the public hearings took place, except for the public testimonies of diplomats William Taylor and George Kent. Despite this, 69% of respondents said they had made up their minds on whether the president should be removed from office or not. A total of 48% approved impeachment, 50% opposed it. Now, I must stress, the 50% opposition is an increase. A couple weeks ago, I had a discussion with Sam Cedar, and it was 52% in support of impeachment and removal. It has dropped. This is all just fake news. Don't take my word for it. Here's another poll, and let me show you the aggregate from Real Clear Politics. Now, it hasn't completely recovered from its peak of 45.3, but it's back up to 44.3. Look at this drop. It has recovered. No one is buying the fake news. Check this out. Washington Post. Like the media shell is starting to crack. The Democrats' bombshells aren't exploding. I'm sorry, they keep saying it over and over again. You got to understand, they've been saying bombshell for years. There's a viral video where they're saying things like the beginning of the end, the walls are closing in, bombshell, bombshell, bombshell. Now they're saying game over, game over. No, I'm sorry, you are wrong. But of course, they are desperately trying to cling onto this narrative. And so here's what's really mind-blowing to me. You're going to love this. For one, this is BuzzFeed News. Ryan Broderick of BuzzFeed claimed that because too many people tweeted in support of the president, a specific meme, it must have been bots. He couldn't imagine the president had that much support. Why? He's in the small bubble. People were tweeting that they hired Donald Trump to fire people like Marie Yovanovitch. 7,300 or so tweets very, very quickly. And so this reporter said it must be bot activity. And he published the story questioning whether or not these were real Trump supporters. Turns out they were. Twitter said upon investigating, they found no bot activity. But this reporter he couldn't believe it. In his mind, it must be Russian bots. It must be, or bot activity. He didn't say Russians. But sure enough, he was wrong. His assumptions were wrong. Why would he run the story in the first place? Well, now here you go. Here's another story where he's shocked that the top stories on Reddit having to do with impeachment are negative in support of the Republicans, for the most part, praising Elise Stefanik. Why heavens, how could that be? Perhaps it's a network of bots, Kremlin individuals working straight out of Russia to sow the seeds of discord in the United States. Or perhaps most people do not agree with you, think you are wrong, and you are lying to protect them. Or you're just delusional. I'm sorry. Look at this. When you are faced with the overwhelming evidence that on Facebook, the majority of stories being shared disagree with your impeachment, perhaps the answer is, wow, maybe the American people don't like impeachment. I'll tell you what, if the majority of independents now oppose it, and of course, almost all Republicans oppose it, that makes the majority of the country, and you are in the minority. Now, it's true, according to the Politico Morning Consult poll, I believe just a little bit more than half, not half, it's 2 percentage points more do want Trump to be impeached. So take that for what it is. I'm not saying Trump is like invincible and as this champion on a white stallion. I'm just saying, for the most part, people are tired of this and they don't believe you. But let's see what CNN has to say. I love this stuff. Reliable sources with Brian Stelter. This is from Oliver Darcy. And they're showing the front pages. Diplomatic knowledge is quid pro quo. We followed the president's order. Let me clarify something for you. I know it's really hard to get through that media screen that convinces you that Sondland had bombshell testimony. But Sondland also testified. Donald Trump told me, I want nothing, I want nothing, I want no quid pro quo. Tell Zelensky to do the right thing. I want him to do what he campaigned on. I believe I may have mixed up the back of that, but that's the paraphrasing of it. The general thing that Trump said, I want nothing, I want nothing, I want no quid pro quo. He said it. Sondland testified that Trump said that. Now, the argument from the left is that, well, perhaps Trump was just, we knew what he really wanted, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Okay, you want to argue a wink, wink, nudge, nudge in court, you're probably not going to win. You need to prove to the average person in this country that Trump did it. But if Sondland is testifying, I presumed it was a quid pro quo, but Trump told me it wasn't, why would I take his word for it? It's not enough. I get it. Impeachment is not criminal proceedings. It is just whether or not someone wants to win politically. But in the end, check this out. The only question now is, will the GOP care? Speaking on CNN, Jeffrey Toobin said, I think you can divide the Trump presidency into two periods, before November 20th, 2019 and after. Because now we know that every fantasy about how corrupt this administration is actually true. That this was a corrupt enterprise from the very beginning. After years of Russia being proven false, now they're still saying it. There is no evidence. I'm sorry. You can't take one person who presumed a quid pro quo, but also testified Trump said there wasn't, and then place it against the other officials who said, I either have no evidence, it was my opinion, or in the case of Volker and Morrison, that's not true, there was no quid pro quo. All we can say is that it is disputed and not proven. Toobin distilled things down to one remaining question. Now, the only question is, does anyone care? Do the Republicans care? Does it matter to them that this corrupt enterprise is now proved clearly? Because it's not. And you know what's crazy to me is that CNN is pushing this narrative that they've proven it, when you look at the polls, the average American disagrees with you. Trump's approval is going up. Support for impeachment is going down. Yet they are trapped in this mirror universe where they seem to think that after all of the testimony we've heard so far, nothing being proven, one person giving their opinion is now a bombshell. Well, even the Washington Post is forced to admit they are not exploding. I'm sorry, your bombshells are duds. But guess what? They say that basically, Republicans don't care. They say Republicans have made clear that their devotion to Trump is irrational. And like other religious faiths, not subject to rational refutation. Sorry to tell you all, I have never been a fan of Donald Trump. Nope. But do I care about him? Very little. Very little. When Trump won, I laughed. I didn't vote for him, didn't want to vote for him, and will not vote for him. I just don't really like the guy that much. I think he's got a bad attitude, but that's okay. Okay, we're in a country, and I think my chance for change is to vote in 2020. But the Democrats are too obsessed with how bad Trump is, and I honestly don't care. I don't care. You've proven nothing to me. So yes, I have a dedication to the facts, and because of that, I am now going to refute Fiona Hill's testimony because she is lying. Or I'm sorry, that's a bit too much. She is just wrong. She is wrong. She is wrong. Period. No matter how you spin it, what Fiona Hill testified this morning about Ukraine either proves that Ukraine didn't interfere in 2016, but is trying to now, or they did interfere in 2016 and they are still trying to. There is no two ways about it. Fiona Hill's testimony proves without a doubt that Ukraine is meddling, even though she's trying to refute it. And let me show you. White House former top Russian aide savages Donald Trump's defenders in impeachment testimony, saying their claim Ukraine interfered in 2016 election is a Vladimir Putin lie designed to destroy the faith of American people in our democracy. Heavens! She said it was false. It was a conspiracy. It didn't happen. Let me show you some things to now, well, I'm sorry, Fiona Hill, what you've just said has only proven that Ukraine is meddling, if what you're saying is true. First, here's a story from the New York Times in 2018, December. Ukraine court rules Manafort disclosure caused meddling in the U.S. election. Uh-oh, Is the New York Times pushing conspiracy theories? A court in Ukraine has ruled that officials in the country violated the law by revealing during the 2016 presidential election in the United States details of suspected illegal payments by Paul Manafort. And this was all through Ukrainian embassy, and it went through Alexander Chalupa, and the allegations against Ukraine were upheld by Ukrainian court and reported by the New York Times. But let's stop right now. Let's say Ukraine is trustworthy. Ukrainian officials, let's say this is wrong. I'm sorry. Fiona Hill has proven you wrong, New York Times. Let's just run with that, okay? Let's operate now from the premise that Ukraine is trustworthy. What they're saying is true. They did not meddle. Okay, let's ignore all this and say Ukraine is our friend. They're not trying to subvert our elections. They are honest actors who love us. Okay, I bring you now to Interfax Ukraine, who's reporting that Biden partners received $16.5 million in payments stolen from Ukrainian taxpayers, and Ukrainian parliamentary member Andriy Derkach has said that Vice President some $16.5 million received by Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden, as payment from Burisma was stolen from Ukrainian citizens, Member of Parliament Andriy Derkach said. The story from November 20th, just yesterday. Interfax, Ukraine, reporting. This is confirmed now. This is the opinion of the MP. But the story of the expanding probe into Burisma is now confirmed by Reuters. Ukraine widens probe against Burisma founder to embezzlement of state funds. Full stop. Hunter Biden received money. He is accused by a member of parliament in Ukraine of taking that money, siphoning it from Ukrainian taxpayers. Reuters is now confirming that Ukraine is in fact probing Burisma's founder for embezzling state funds. Does that mean that the founder who was paying Hunter Biden was stealing state money to give to Hunter Biden? Looks like we need an investigation. So let me throw it back to Fiona Hill, who testified the Ukraine stuff is a conspiracy theory and it's not true. Which narrative am I supposed to believe? That the Ukrainians were not meddling, or that they were? Because if you believe they weren't meddling, then we must trust what they're saying now. If you believe that in 2016, all those stories were fake news, are you now claiming that the latest from Reuters is also fake news? Are you claiming the Ukrainian MP, Andriy Derkach, is lying when he calls for an investigation, and he's demanding that Zelensky and get Trump on the phone immediately to investigate why Hunter Biden received this money? Let me stress this for you again. The polls show that support for Trump is up, opposition to the impeachment inquiry is up, support for impeachment is down. And if Fiona Hill is to be taken at face value, that means we must trust the Ukrainian MPs who are our allies and who are telling us right now that Hunter Biden stole money, or at least received stolen money from Ukrainian taxpayers. And the story is now confirmed by Reuters. Or, hold on. Let's say Fiona Hill is wrong and the Ukrainians really are meddling in our election. Well, then we can take a look at the story and say, right, I don't trust MP Andriy Derkach because we know that Ukraine was trying to interfere in our elections. So which is it? Are they interfering now? Or are they trustworthy and Hunter Biden is guilty of something, or should be, or at the very least, be investigated? Pick one. Because if she wants to testify, it's all a conspiracy theory and not true. The first thing we have to do is throw out the New York Times, Politico, The Hill. I'm sorry. The Democrats and the left and their allies in media live in a paranoid reality where they think Republicans are irrational, but the New York Times reported this story. I'm sorry. Politico reported there was interference. The New York Times reported that a Ukrainian court confirmed it. The Hill reported that people at the embassy confirmed the interference. And I'm supposed to throw that all away because the Democrats are losing the impeachment inquiry? Sorry, that's not how things work. But I'll tell you what else. You know what? I'm not gonna pull up the story because I think we've gotten it. But Hunter Biden is now is being alleged, or is being reported, confirmed by the Daily Mail, that he is the father of a child born in Ukraine and is denying it, and the scandals keep piling up. So let me wrap this up for you. Just because Trump's approval is up, just because support for impeachment is down, it doesn't mean Trump is innocent. And that's okay. I know the Trump supporters will tell you all day and night Trump is innocent and he is fighting the deep state. Not everybody believes that, but some do. I'm not here to say any of that. I don't know about any of that. What I can tell you is I've been listening nonstop to all of this testimony, to all of this news. It's what I do every single day. And trust me when I say, there is a reason why people's support for the president is going up. There's a reason why opposition to impeachment is going up. It's because those of us who have paid attention to all of this know full well the Democrats have proven nothing. They have proven nothing and, in fact, only made themselves look worse. And the one bombshell to come out of the impeachment inquiry so far is that Hunter Biden, in all likelihood, crooked, should not have been working at that company. And so far, everyone has testified that there is a potential appearance of a conflict of interest. And let me break that down. I take issue with that, right? Elise Stefanik has said several times the potential appearance of a conflict of interest, because the appearance of a conflict of interest would be an opinion. The potential for one is stretching it quite a bit. I don't think we need that. I think the fact of the matter is, the New York Times reported in 2015, Hunter Biden taking a job at Burisma undermined U.S. efforts to weed out corruption. Period. Even though we've heard from the witnesses, you can take that for what it is. At the end of the day, if you are someone who does not like the president or someone who does, the fact of the matter is Democrats are losing. Support for the president is going up. They've proven nothing. That's it. That's where we are. This may change. Sondland's testimony may move the needle a little bit, but I want to stress the first point for you. President never told me directly. The aide was my own personal, guess. In fact, Sondland testified, more importantly, Trump said, I want nothing. I want nothing. I want no quid pro quo. Tell Zelensky to do the right thing. I want him to do what he campaigned on. Yet because of Sondland's personal opinion that those were orders that the president never directly gave him, that's the front page of the New York Times. The media is either falsely framing this because they know it'll sell, and their allies like BuzzFeed, who have been wrong over and over again, the ones who published the fake Steele dossier, which sparked Russiagate, or at least helped spark Russiagate, and CNN, they're wrong. And it's kind of sad, I gotta say, to see CNN sitting there in the corner of the room in a straitjacket, freaking out with their hair all crazy, saying, it's Russia. You don't believe the facts. You don't believe the facts. And then when you look at what Americans really believe, and they believe for the most part, Trump might be a doof, He might have made an inappropriate phone call and he should have just relied on actual investigators to weed out the corruption. But Trump couldn't do it. Trump loves tweeting. Trump needs everyone to know it's him. He's got the plan and he knows he's smarter. I believe Trump's arrogance has caused him a lot of problems. But I'm sorry, arrogance is not an impeachable offense. Ignorance is not an impeachable offense. If you believe Trump just believes conspiracy theories and that led to all this, absolutely fine. I will say, okay, thank you. That's fine. The stories may not be true. You cannot impeach someone for being incorrect. If Trump believed there was corruption, well, there you go. I will give one point to the Democrats that is very important. The one most important factor here is that it may not be, so far Democrats have testified, under a law passed in the 70s, Trump does not have the legal authority to hold aid in the first place. Assuming that's true, it's the only real point they've made so far. But if that's the case, I ask you, why is Adam Schiff obsessed with Joe Biden, but has not asked a single question about Trump's mental state pertaining to Biden? I will wrap it up with this final point. Sorry for going a little bit longer. The Democrats have asked nothing about Biden. No, sure, they've said things like, who would benefit from this? Who would benefit from this? Well, why would you want me to speculate? When Sondland would ask who would primarily benefit from an investigation into Burisma, he goes, Biden. You know what I would have said? Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has the most to gain because Joe Biden is standing in his way of being the front runner, or Elizabeth Warren. Well, what about Trump? Oh, why would Trump benefit? Trump's not running in the Democratic primary. If Joe Biden loses the primary, Trump doesn't got to worry about anything. Their points make no sense. And they have asked nothing about Trump's mental state pertaining to Biden. Is it possible that Trump was in his room sweating profusely saying, Biden's going to beat me. What do I do? Somebody get Ukraine on the phone. They haven't even asked. They haven't even asked if Trump brought up Biden. They haven't even asked. They haven't even asked, has Trump talked about 2020? They didn't even ask that because they don't care. And they're losing, and we know it. And I feel bad for all those people who are trapped by this maelstrom of fake news that just wants your eyes to sell ads. I'll leave it there. I hate talking about impeachment. It's just such absurd nonsense. I'll see you all at 6 p.m., youtube.com/TimCastNews, hopefully for some more fun and interesting stories. But I'll tell you what, man, I got to be honest. Every single news outlet is dominated by this. And so for better or for worse, this will be a historical moment. I don't know how it'll turn out. For now, it seems Trump is winning. I'll see you all next time.